Hey, welcome! Today we're diving into what might be the most critical step of any project, the closing phase. We're going to uncover the power of looking back, not just to check a box, but to build a launchpad for every single project that comes next. And it all starts with a pretty simple question.
Okay, picture this. You've hit your deadline, the work is delivered, the team is breathing a sigh of relief. But are you really finished? I mean, really? Just because the main work is done, it doesn't mean the project is complete. In fact, you might be about to walk away from the most valuable part. You know, every project has a life cycle. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But that final phase, the closing stage, that's the part that so often gets rushed or even skipped altogether. And honestly, that's a huge mistake, because it's where the real lasting learning is supposed to happen. When you look at the typical project lifecycle, you see a pattern, right? We pour tons of time and energy into defining and planning. Then, the executing stage gets all the glory. That's where the action is. But that fourth stage, the closing stage, that is what separates the teams that get better and better from the teams that just keep making the same mistakes over and over. It's not just about paperwork. It's a totally strategic move. And this is really the heart of the problem. When a team just packs up and moves on to the next shiny new thing, without a formal way to reflect, all that hard-won experience, the clever solutions, the unexpected problems, those little moments of genius, poof, it all just evaporates into thin air. You're basically guaranteeing that mistakes will be repeated, and successes will just be happy accidents, not something you can replicate on purpose.
So how do we stop all that value from just disappearing? Well, that brings us to the hero of our story today, the retrospective. This is the formal process that turns raw experience into actual wisdom. So what is a retrospective? You might have heard it called a lessons learned session. It's basically a structured conversation to analyze the project after it's all done. The purpose is super clear. Figure out what went right so you can do more of it, and what went wrong so you can avoid it in the future. It's all about pulling out those valuable lessons that are going to make your next project that much better. And this is a really important point. A retrospective is not just an informal chat over coffee. It is one of the 3 official key deliverables of a proper project closing process. It's right up there with actually wrapping up the project and evaluating performance. It's a formal, required part of getting the job done right. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Yeah, we do lessons learned. But the modern retrospective is a major evolution of that old idea. It's not just about writing up some report that gets tossed in a folder somewhere. It's a disciplined, structured method designed to create real, tangible improvement. Just look at this comparison, because this is a total game changer. Those old lessons learned sessions, they were often informal, kind of random, and only involved a few key people. And the outcome? Usually, it was a document that nobody ever looked at again. A modern retrospective, on the other hand, is disciplined and structured. It's inclusive. It brings the whole team into the conversation. And here's the most important part. The outcome isn't just a document. It's an action-oriented plan. And that right there, that action-oriented plan is the whole entire point. The real value isn't in just documenting what happened in the past. It's in actively improving how you manage every single project that comes next. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? What are the tangible benefits that a really well-run retrospective can bring to your team and, honestly, your whole organization? I love this analogy because it puts it so perfectly. A retrospective is just like a pro football team reviewing game footage. The goal isn't to point fingers or yell at someone for a missed tackle. No way. The goal is to analyze what worked, what didn't, and why, so the entire team can adjust its strategy and play better in the next game. It's all about getting better together. And the benefits are so powerful and concrete. You're not just crossing your fingers hoping the next project goes better. You are actively improving its management from the ground up. You become way more aware of potential risks before they even happen. You find out which strategies actually work, and you make them part of your official playbook. But here's where the real magic happens. All of this fosters a culture of continuous improvement, and that culture is built on that last point, creating a searchable repository of knowledge. This isn't just about saving a report. It's about building a living, breathing library of experience. The best organizations actually classify these retrospectives by project type, size, technology, so those insights are easy to find. And then they create a new rule. Before you start a new project, your team has to review the lessons from similar projects in the past.
Some companies, like Intel, even use trained facilitators whose whole job is to mine this data and make sure those lessons are actually applied. That's how you turn past experience into a serious future advantage. So all of this brings us to a completely new way of thinking about what it means to close a project. It's not an endpoint. It's a critical connection in an ongoing cycle of learning, growing, and succeeding. And this is the big takeaway here. The end of one project is really the beginning of the next one's education. A retrospective is what closes the learning loop. It takes all the raw data, all the chaos and triumphs of a finished project, and it transforms it into actionable intelligence that directly fuels the next one. This is how great organizations get great. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about your last project, whatever it was. If you had to pull out just one lesson, one thing you learned about your process or communication or your strategy, what would it be? And more importantly, what are you going to do to make sure that one little lesson helps define your very next success?